All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of What Do You Know with Joe. I've got a legend in the midst here. Talk about a man, Jonny FairPlay. For those who don't know, Johnny's been on a couple shows. Got to start with Survivor, a little bit of wrestling. We're going to learn all about him. But Jonny, thank you so much for joining me, man.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Of course, it's going to be good. So, just a couple minutes ago, we were chopping up. We talking about where we're from. Tell us about where you grew up. A little about your childhood growing up. I know you eventually went up to VT. I'm very curious about that. My sister and brother went there, so I've got some ties there. So tell us a little about growing up in Danville. You said, right?
Yeah, I grew up in Danville, Virginia. It's the last Catholic Confederacy. They're the first to remind you of that. Scary place. Every Saturday they have the Confederate soldiers, or I guess not the real ones, or they'd be dead. Guys dress up in the stupid outfits, and
Yep.
they have their flags in front of our museum. And
Wow.
I like to ride by. I stop and I'm just like, look, man, I get it.
Right.
You got your pride, and you got your history, and and you got your little flag that you're so proud of. And I'm just like, but let's just go with the little recency bias here. Just for me personally, why don't you hold up the last flag, you guys? What was that? That white surrender flag? Why don't you hold up that one? I mean, it's the last one they had.
I mean, right. You got to tell the correct story. You got to tell how
they do not find the humor in that.
I don't know why. I don't know why they can't. It's pretty funny. Objectively, it's hilarious.
Yeah. So no, I got beat up a lot when I was a kid, mostly by girls. It toughens you up. I say that the downfall of society as a whole, at least in America and in a lot of places, I think, is the invention of the bicycle helmet. Because when I was a kid, we didn't have bicycle helmets. You rode your bike and you fell off your bike and you got hurt, and you learned what it was to get hurt. Your parents just beat you because
Sure.
you had to. I grew up in a time where you had to pick your own switch.
Oh wow.
That's the word, and you get like the real skinny one. They're like, yeah, so you go back. You had to get another switch.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
They're just mad.
Right. Right. Exactly. So it just adds more to the end of it when picking the wrong one.
So I wish I was a little smart, because I always pride myself as a smart kid. I wish I'd come back with this giant log that they couldn't pick up, and it's like but I didn't. I relied on comedy back then to avoid fights.
Sure.
To avoid getting beat up, and I guess it worked out. I got beat up less.
There you go. It's all about numbers, and so they're going down.
Yeah. So, and then just growing up, when I was
Sorry here also that's not fun to get beat up. No, that sucks.
Yeah, no. I remember this one time, I think I was in like third or fourth grade, waiting for the school bus, and this girl named Tiffany.
Man, she sounds tough.
She was a foot taller than me, because girls hit their growth spurts. They're used to, I don't, with what they put in our food now, who's to say? But back then, girls would hit their growth spurts first, and so she was in the same grade as me. She was a foot taller, and I remember just shoving my head in the snow, and the snow just turning solid red, just pounding my face in the snow. Man. And that was a fun one. And I used to wear underoos when I was a kid, and my favorite underoos were the Robin, like Batman and Robin.
Sure.
And so I would put on my Robin underoos, and I had a towel as my cape, and a little paper mask, and I would pretend that I wasn't me, that was really Robin.
There you go.
And, the girls in my neighborhood called me Robin Gay, and they would beat me up.
Damn. Brutal. That cuts. Damn.
Yeah. So, but fast forward to when classes are split up a little bit between the smart kids and the dumb kids. I was in all AP classes. I had 5 years of Latin and junior high and high school. I was Latin club president, ski club president, junior class vice president, senior class president. So shit kind of changed there.
Yeah.
And then fast forward, Virginia Tech. I had a band when I was there. I was lead singer for a band, so
Whoa.
that helped life considerably.
Sure.
So,
And nothing, I mean, it's all, band music's tight, you can't,
yeah.
everyone loves music.
Yeah, and who doesn't like the lead singer? I mean,
Right,
it
exactly.
wasn't like I was a bass player. Yeah.
Front and center, Johnny's up there. Breathe a little bit. You talk ski club. Did you guys just go to close by mountains or something like that?
We got a wintergreen. No,
okay.
I think we went to like wintergreen like twice a year, and then maybe winter place. Possibly. Okay. I don't think we went to snowshoe. I remember going to like that. That was like that was like the big trip going to
snowshoe's good. Yeah, I like snowshoe. Okay, so like I've gone to this place, so a couple of listeners are gonna hear that and be like, damn, that's dope. So anyways, you're at Virginia Tech, you're in a band. When did you kind of think, all right, what am I gonna do you're going through school, right? Things are going well. How things going like through your career at school, and then what are you thinking like after school? What's the plan potentially?
Well, when I was a little kid, everyone asked me, they're like, what are you gonna be when you grow up?
Mm-hmm.
And my answer was always, I'm gonna be famous.
Okay.
That was it.
Always knew.
Yeah, that was it. I always knew.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I went to Virginia Tech for marketing, and so I kind of
good choice. Go Pamela.
I kind of feel like I'm still marketing myself. So
yeah.
So that worked out. But yeah, I didn't know how. I just always knew I was going to be famous. And so after Virginia Tech, I moved to Greensboro, North Carolina, and then I moved to Washington, D.C., Silver Spring, Maryland.
Yeah.
And then I met a girl, and I moved to Portland. So she had 1 year left at Lewis and Clark University. Okay. And so I moved out there for a year, and then when she graduated, she was like, "Okay, we can either move to New York or LA." She was like that, and I was just like, "Well, LA's closer."
Yeah, that's a very true point. We don't got to go all the way back. That's a very true point.
And so I moved to Los Angeles, and I pretty quickly became Roddy Piper's personal assistant, and so that kind of paved the way for everything else. I mean, Roddy Piper was doing a lot of those straight to DVD movies, and he was going to Ivana Chubbuck's acting classes. So he would pay for me to go to his acting classes with him, so we could run lines afterwards. So
huge. That's like a huge piece to pick up. I feel like that probably did a lot of good things for you. Sidebar too, has Pamblin or any of the business schools ever asked you to come back and talk? If not, that's an outrage, guys. Come on, he would love. He just said to yourself, you're already marketing yourself already. You're still doing it.
Let's see. The only thing I've gotten from I got free tickets to the concert for Virginia Tech after the shooting. So it was Nas and some country guy. I don't remember. I didn't listen to country music then. I listen to country music now. So it was Nas, some country guy, and then John Mayer, and then Dave Matthews finished, and then John Mayer came back out with Dave. So that was really cool. We used to see Dave. So the cycle back then.
He's from Virginia. Dave's from Virginia.
He's from Charlottesville. So the cycle back then. So I was at Tech 92 to 96. So back then, 92, 93, 92. Hootie would come through every few months.
Okay.
And so we'd see Hootie, and then Dave would play. I think he'd play tracks in Charlottesville every month.
That's cool.
And then he would play a fraternity at Virginia Tech every 2 months.
What a win for them.
We'd have Dave would come through every 2 months. We'd have Give Droll band every 2 months. Everything would and fantastic. Then fast forward. I remember when Dave signed to RCA Records, and his first show he did signed with RCA Records. They had Dave Matthews Band opening up for I just had a Rusted Root.
Oh wow, good call.
And so they played like a horse stable in Lexington, Virginia. And so a big Tech contingent went there, and we cheered Dave out, or he's the opening band, and we cheer and then Rusted Root, and we just booed them off the stage. We're just go fuck yourself.
We came for Dave. Yeah,
and the crazy thing, fast forward, I want to say 2018, 2019, Rusted Root was at Blind Tiger in Greensboro, North Carolina, And I went to go see them, and afterwards I'm talking like I was like, hey, do you remember when? And I told him, and he was like, oh yeah, fuck that show. RCA's like, oh, we're hooking you up. We got this guy Dave. He's gonna bring the crowd.
And he did, but like like we just want Dave though. Yeah. That's all we want.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. So like, and so now you're in LA, right? You have a good assistant's job. So like, when did the press was the idea we're going to shift into the, like, when did you first hear about like Survivor? I'm sure being in LA, maybe you not heard something, but like maybe you heard like they were doing this show or something, and like, what kind of draw you in?
None of that. I remember I was living in LA, and I remember my girlfriend at the time that I was still living with from Portland, Oregon. I believe we watched, I don't know, probably 2 minutes of the first finale, because it was like, 50 plus million viewers.
Yeah.
And so we watched, and I'm just like, these people are stupid. And that was it. That was my entire context of Survivor, up one side, down the other, like none. And Thunder D, the guy that did the Dead Grandma Lie with me, I met him in Portland, Oregon, and he used to watch every week. And he was just like, I was like, hey, when he was like, I can't do it. I'm watching Survivor. I'm like, oh my God, that's so lame. So it was not on my radar at all. So I had been Piper's personal assistant, and then after that, I was working at Tamara Bain Gallery, and I was selling the original paintings from Olivia. She does like the Betty Page stuff and the Dita Von Teese and stuff. So I was working at the gallery there, and a buddy of mine had called me up, and he was just like, hey, do you want to go to this Von Dutch party in Manhattan Beach? He was living in Venice Beach, and I was living in Hollywood. And I was poolside at my apartment pool. I was like a Saturday or Sunday. I want to say like a Sunday, like around 2 p.m. I'm just like, dude, I'm like 8 Coors Lights deep. I can't drive anywhere. And he was like, well, that girl I've been talking to, she lives down the street from me. Let me see if she can pick you up, and then swoop by, pick me up. We'll go to the party. I'm like, all right, cool. So she picks me up. We stop in Santa Monica for her to get gas. And so she goes to pump gas. I go to the corner to have a cigarette, and don't smoke, kids. It's a horrible, nasty habit. So I'm happy to be a non-smoker. And so this white Volvo drives by, and she locks up the brakes, and she's like, hey, do you mind if I ask you a crazy question? I'm like, you're hot. Why not? She goes, you ever watch Survivor? I go, no, they're a bunch of fucking losers. She goes, I'm the casting director. I go, that sucks for you. She goes, I'm offering you a 1 in 16 chance at $1 million. I'm like, whatever. She goes, I think you'd be perfect. I go, tell me something I don't know, honey. She goes, that's what you're on.
That's crazy. What?
So 2 weeks later, I'm at the hotel for the finals.
Holy crap.
And I literally go to the final interview, and we're at CBS, and I look in the room, and there's 2 of every single person in that room but me. There's 2 Ruperts, there's 2 Burtons, there's 2 Austins, there's 2 of every single person. The other Krista was Victoria Fuller, who was on The Amazing Race like the next season. Her Jonathan Baker.
Damn.
So I go for my final interview, and in front of Les Moonves, and they're just like, why do you think we're going to put you on the season? I'm like, because there's only one of me. And they're like, well, there's only one. I'm like, no. I'm like, in that room, there's 2 of every single person but me.
Exactly. And I think that speaks more volumes about me and how you couldn't find anyone like me. And so like about that process, like, is it a multi-step kind of interview, or like, what do you like, or like, how do you like, how many pools of people do you start with? And then, like you said, it gets finally boiled down to like all the players that are going to be starting.
God, I think back then they were receiving like 50,000 videotapes.
Holy.
So yeah, I bypassed all that. Like I had to make it after I was cast. I had to make a video and send just to put on the website.
Right.
And my video was so obnoxious. It's just like, I'm Jonny FairPlay. I'm 5'8", 115 pounds, and I got 12 inches of dangling fury that says I'm winning the $1 million or something.
I love it. I love it. So you get on, you're going, you find out, did you meet who you were going to play with before you guys like came on, like before, kind of that first episode started, or like when you get on the boats, or like when you're going in, is it all really like for the first time you're like, all right, who are these people?
Well, I mean, so the finals of the audition process, as I said, it was 2 of every person, 1 of me. and we would go in groups to eat, in the
Sure.
the hotel restaurant area, and then like we go in like groups of 2 or 3 to swim and stuff. So like, and there's a no communication rule and all that. So you give like little whatever. And but prior to that, like once I did the finals, I knew I was going to be on. I was doing Runyon Canyon like 2-3 times a day. I was trying to gain weight, so
Sure.
I started. I think I was 116 pounds. I got up to 116 pounds.
Okay. I mean, some of those challenges that could pay off where like they start with your starting.
Yeah.
body
So no,
weight.
I got up to 100. So like right now I'm like 151. But back then I was 30, 22 years ago, 21 years ago. Anyway, so I was 100. I'd gotten up to 116 pounds, and I was doing Running Canyon every day. I was drinking metric shakes like crazy. I was pounding Guinness beers.
There it is.
I was eating McDonald's Pink's hot dogs.
Nice.
I went down to Catalina. I became a skin diver and scuba diver certified. And so I paid for a private instructor. I was just like, look, I can't say what I'm doing.
Sure.
But can you teach me what to do if, say, I was stranded on an island and doing challenges against 15 other people?
I'm not telling you exactly what I'm doing, but like this is just a scenario. Like it's just my idea. I got that.
I did all that, and then my season is the first season where they did the marooning. So we jumped off the ship and the game has begun. So typically, what happens when you play Survivor, you get there, and everyone's on no talking, and you do your press for 4 days, and you have Survivor school, and they tell you the things you can eat, you can't eat. They show you how to make a fire. They show you how to catch crabs. They do all that stuff. So, well, for my season, and it's always on location, wherever you're doing it, whatever. So on Pearl Islands, we did all of our press stuff in Miami at the hotel.
Interesting.
So like the shot of the entire cast, that's Miami. It's not even Pearl Islands.
Interesting.
Because we have different clothes and all that. So and during that process, that was like a 3-day deal, and we still had our phones. And so I was calling Thunder D every day, and I'm just like, all right, there's this mullet guy with tie dye. I don't know, he seems like an idiot. There's this athletic guy with like a short brown afro. He wears blue button-up shirts and khaki pants every day. I'm sure he played lacrosse at Duke.
I'm just drawing a picture for everybody.
Yeah. So and it's funny because when Thunder D came out for the Dead Grandma Lie deal, they flew out, the people that could have competed, including one other that got voted out the night before, and that was Rupert's wife.
Right, exactly.
And so they're all hanging out, and Rupert's wife has explained to everyone. She's like, "Well, my husband's going to win this whole thing."
Oh,
and Thunder D is just like, "Does your husband wear tie dye and have a mullet?" And she's like, "How do you know that?" And he was like, "Because I'm pretty sure my friend's going to take care of him."
Oh, damn.
And I literally voted him out that night.
Right. Thunder D. Oh my God. Talk about pairing. So like you alluded to it. For those who haven't seen it, it's what people have called arguably one of the most crazy plays.
It's the greatest moment in the history of reality television.
So walk us through that. When did you and Thunder D start planning that? What happened? And like, I was when I was doing my research on this and like thinking about everything, I was really glad to see that you and Jeff Probst are tight now, or like at least
tight. We're just
you guys on good cordial, right?
Yeah.
So and because I saw that post you had where he was like, "No, Jonny FairPlay is not on that list."
Yeah, we good. Yeah, we
so. Good. But anyways, so like, walk us through all the way through beginnings talking about with Thunder D. Was it in like Portland, or like where did it start, and then how did we get to where we are?
All right, so I mean, I grew up a wrestling fan. When I was 4 years old, my dad used to take me to the Greensboro Coliseum, and even at the age of 4, he's like, "Root on the bad guys, the good guys are pussies." So that's like the foundation. Fair play. So I've always, I was a Four Horsemen kid,
Okay.
So I liked the NWO, I just like the bad guys. And so my heroes as a kid were Ric Flair, Roddy Piper, and Andy Kaufman.
Oh, great trio.
Yeah, and
This way.
so I created the character of Jonny FairPlay actually in like 1997 in the wrestling independent wrestling circuit in the Carolinas. I was a bad guy manager, Jonny FairPlay. I don't play fair. It's a misnomer.
Yeah. Right.
And so anyway, so I brought Jonny FairPlay to Survivor, and I do the I do the Ric Flair strut. I say whatever I'm thinking, like Roddy Piper, and I want the world and my competitors to be my punchline, Andy Kaufman, and so. I had never seen Survivor before I was cast, except for like those 2 minutes during the first finale. So I had gone on eBay. I ordered, some guy had every episode and every early show interview in which they explained why they felt they were voted out on VHS.
Okay.
And so I bought that entire collection, and I watched every season twice. And then and like I'm sitting there watching, I'm just like, oh my god, and like the woman that casted me, Lynn Spillman, she was just like, hey, have you got up to Boston Rob yet? I'm like, no, and she was like, well, where are you up to? And I'm like, I'm on this season. And she's like, what do you think? And I'm like, I hate it. I like the real world. I don't like Survivor. Like I want to have a 3-way in a hot tub. That sucks. Which is so insane. Like literally 10 minutes before I talked to you, I was talking to Trishelle from the real world. It was a good friend of mine. Yeah, we're doing a charity event in Orlando at the beginning of December. And I'm just
Small world.
Small world. So anyway, I didn't like the show, and so I'm watching, and so I finally get to Boston Rob. They're like, "What do you think?" And I was like, "He didn't even make the merge. This guy sucks."
Right, exactly.
And they're like, well, play like that, but stay in the game. And I'm just like, can you? And then I got to Survivor Amazon, and I felt Rob C jump from alliance to alliance without consequence. And I was just like, okay, here's my blueprint. Let me do this, but turn it up to 11. And that's what Jonny FairPlay is. So, but going out there, once again, Survivor Amazon. Well, every season, like when watching the seasons, like I'm a quote unquote bad guy, but I'm a real person at the same time. So when the loved ones episode would come on, I would cry every time watching it. I'm just like, oh my god, like this is good TV. Like I like that.
Right, it is.
Your show's kind of boring, but like this loved ones thing's pretty good. So I was just like, oh my god, how can I use that to my advantage? And so on Amazon, it wasn't actually the Loved Ones Challenge. It was actually the auction. Everyone let Jenna win at the end so she could get a letter from home because her mother wasn't doing well health-wise. So that's when I was just like, well, what's more sympathetic than a dying mom, a dead grandma? So what you don't see is when I first, I don't know if it's night 1 or night 2, we're all sitting by the fire, and they're like, who's your loved one? And they're like, oh, my husband's coming, and they're like, fair play. I was like, well, my person is my grandma. I was like, but CBS, they're assholes. They made me list a backup. It's my buddy Dan. But fuck that. I don't want to see I want to see my grandma. Because if he shows up, that means my grandma couldn't. And they would pray at night for my grandma.
Oh damn. Oh man.
So.
Oh man!
Yeah.
So
I set it up there, but prior to that, like I thought of the move, and I had 3 friends.
Interesting.
I had 3 friends that I thought would be good for the spot, but I knew it was a big moment, and I had to count on them not chickening out in that moment.
Exactly.
And the crazy thing is, so I went with Thunder D because he's big into wrestling, and I was just like, all right, this dude doesn't care. Like my other 2 friends, they would have seized the TV moment and fucked up everything else.
Right.
But Thunder D just understood the assignment. And
exactly.
So Thunder D, he comes up there, he does the little Jeff Jarrett strut. And he hugs me. And when he hugs me, he goes, Roddy Piper got fired from SmackDown. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Tell me my grandma died.
Exactly.
Like, oh yeah. And so then you see the kind of like the push off.
Yeah.
And it's like, did you get the letter? I'm like, no, we don't have fucking UPS, motherfucker. Like, no.
Right.
And he was just like, dude, she died, dude. I think he threw in 18 dudes. So, but it worked. It worked.
It did. And so, I mean, it is arguably the best moment on television. So talk a little bit about, and you were on Survivor again. I really want to get into your wrestling career as well, but like wrapping up on Survivor, tell us about like your experience after everything, after that first season, going on again, kind of being in a moment where you were like, hey, everybody vote me out because I want to go be with, but
That's not true.
Wait, what do you mean?
Yeah, that's what it's shown, but that's not what happened at all.
We're definitely gonna dive into that, but like talk about.
Yeah. All right. So I do Survivor, and it's the number one. We went against the final season of Friends and beat them in the ratings,
which is crazy.
So my finale had, I think, 33 million viewers, which is insanity.
That's a lot.
I mean, I was, I'm an answer to a trivia question. It's crazy because that final three was me, Lil, and I guess that episode's final four is me, Lil, Dara, and Sandra. And Sandra's the queen, and I'm not throwing any shade, but at that moment, Sandra's not the TV that Sandra has become, since then. I'm the ratings draw. They were literally watching the finale to see me lose.
Right, exactly. Is Johnny gonna make it all the way?
Yeah. And that, sorry folks. I had 3 goals going in. I was like, I want to create the character of Jonny FairPlay, have creative control over that character, and keep him on television for as long as possible. I should have had 4. I should have said win the $1 million. I
guess hindsight's 2020, but at the same time, like you still checked all 3 of those before. So like,
so
you can keep going.
So I'm famous. Life is good. People are sending boxes of feces to CBS. Attention, Jonny FairPlay. I'm just like, do they overnight it or just regular mail? There's stories of people throwing bricks through their television, because of not actually the dead grandma lie, but the swearing on the dead grandma later, against their favorite people. And I can say I have woken up in 3 separate emergency rooms in 3 different states from being sucker punched from behind and knocked unconscious.
Holy crap.
Yeah. So I had to change my number 3 times. I was getting death threats.
My God.
I had security with me a lot of times.
Rightfully so. I mean,
yeah. Not all the time, apparently.
Right.
Yeah.
those couple of times we got sucker punched, but damn,
three different states. So
which is wild to think about too, the statistical anomaly that is. And it sucks because like I think you said it really well before, like if you understand like going into it, like being like obviously there's Jonny FairPlay and then there's you. And so like for like that to kind of be I get it, people see what they're seeing on TV, but you got to take it for what it is at the same time. It's a TV show. So to hear you kind of
reality. That's the problem. When you call it reality, they're like, well, it's real. He must be an asshole. I need to sucker punch him, even though I don't know this person.
I don't know who he is at all as a person and what he does in the past, but that's crazy. So like, okay. And so,
that's nuts. So around the time of the finale, I'm my management team, they're approached by WWE and TNA Wrestling.
That's awesome.
And so WWE offered me, it was a 4-month deal for $80,000. And there were 2 different options. I don't know if I got to choose or if they got to choose, but the 2 different scenarios they threw out there, because it was going in, from January to April for WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
So one of them was it was going to be like a Divas Battle Royal. It was like me versus the Divas. And I don't think I was going to win. And then the other one was I was going to be revealed as Trish's sleazy boyfriend in the Chris Jericho feud.
Okay.
So, but that was 80 grand, 4 months. I'd get to do WrestleMania, but they wanted me to sign over my name, and I was just like, ooh, I feel like this Jonny FairPlay thing has some traction. I like to hang on to it.
Yeah.
So and once again, like I don't know if we could have worked any of that out, because TNA's offer was $300,000 for 2 years. I had creative control, 1 bump a year. First bump wasn't going to be for 6 months. First class airfare, 5-star hotel. insurance,
offer insurance
and a cell phone. So I was the first wrestler to ever have insurance ever.
Really? And then it's funny how far they've come, and like I would love to get your take on a few things, but like at the same time,
I don't think they have insurance now.
Huh?
I don't think they have insurance now. I think you pay your own.
That's crazy. Like, and also it's a great deal. So obviously, like, tell us about a little bit of their. I have some like. I'd love to get your take on. Did you? I just recently watched it just because people were telling me about the Vince McMahon documentary, kind of diving into it. What was your take on that?
Well, I mean, it wasn't news for. I mean, I
right.
I do 11 podcasts a week, most of which are reality television. But you know, wrestlingaftershow.com, I do a wrestling podcast. The Monday after pay-per-view, AEW pay-per-views or WWE PLEs, I'm on with Jason Powell of ProWrestling.net. I do the Pro Wrestling Boom podcast.
Yeah.
So I've been a Torch subscriber, since 1999, I think. So I've known about the inner workings of wrestling, and then doing the indie wrestling as early as 97. I kind of know the as I said, the inside baseball stuff on wrestling. Right. So the Vince thing, like, I mean, I don't know how they were going to surprise me, but they didn't surprise, because I knew all this stuff.
Knew everything was coming,
when the Miss Grant lawsuit against Vince, I think it was a 60 page doc. Like I read that the day she submitted it.
Oh wow, okay. So you were
like when it became public record,
right?
Yeah. So I mean, so no, like, I mean, I guess the only thing that really surprised me was because I'm friends with Hulk Hogan, and like, and Hulk's like, I didn't know if Andre was going to do the honors, brother. And I'm just like, oh my God, please stop. And I'm just like, you knew. Right. And then the fact that Vince is like, we didn't know. I'm just like, oh my God, has he tricked himself into believing this too, or is there this much of credibility that that actually happened? But I'm like, there's no way,
Yeah, right.
So, but no, I thought they did a good job, but at the same time, like, there was a part of me that was, I just wanted, to be surprised. And I was just like, but I think for people outside of that wrestling bubble, I think it was extremely educational. If you can make your way through, I mean, like, what was it, like 8 episodes?
It is. It was. I thought it was one long like movie when I first started, and it was a lot more after. I was like, oh, this is like I think it was like 7, like you said, or something like that. It was. You had to like strap in for a little bit, be like, all right, this is gonna take me some time.
I think it maybe it was 6, whatever it was, like all the inside. They're like, just wait till the last episode, and then like the last episode is the grandson. I'm just like, I know all this, like that.
Right. So, I have so many questions because I also know your dad, but like, so anyways, thinking like of each one, let's do it. So like, I would love to know from across your career, 2 Survivor players you would like to play with, 2 wrestlers you wish you could have wrestled with, and then we'll go on to the next one. But give me those 2 on each side.
2 survivors I'd like to play. I mean, I'd love to send home Boston Rob and Parvati.
That would be cool. That would be cool. That's
I hear how great they are, but they've never played against me.
Right, exactly. So there's always that bit of, what if, what
happen. So I think those are 2. I'm not one to toot my own horn, but toot. I think I'm one of the greatest ever, and
I would put you up there.
I think if you go back and actually analyze,
you made it to top 4. You made it to top 4. That's I think a huge top 3. Sorry, pardon me. Yeah. It's one of those things where like because
I'm literally the reason they changed it to a final 3.
Right, exactly. And it's one of those things where like I think you take away the arguably the best like craziest thing that's happened in television, but you pepper in the fact that like you played a strategic, like you didn't play a bad game. Like I think that's one of the things
I controlled every like that. I get so angry watching the new era Survivor because they literally say on there, it's just like, I just need one big move for the resume. I'm like, A,
you need a bunch.
Go fuck yourself with the resume. I just hate that word. And B, how about all the moves? I mean, I was literally responsible for every single vote that I had the position to be responsible.
Right.
Except all but 2. In the history of Survivor, I have the most rewards enjoyed by a single person in a single season of all time. The only 2 rewards I did not enjoy were the Morgans got the shower reward, but when I rated their fucking shit, they offered me the shower, and I just took the shampoo and conditioner to the ocean, and so I technically got that. And then Burton and Lil got the breakfast reward, and Burton came back from that. He's like, "Oh my God, FairPlay." He goes, "It was fucking dairy based. My butthole's a soft serve ice cream right now." He was like, "So," but other than that, I got every single reward on that season.
Damn, and I think that goes. And one, I'd love to get your take on it. Like, have you watched the current season? Or you caught up with all the?
Yeah, well, I mean, I do a weekly podcast at SurvivorAfterShow.com.
So. What surprises me when I'm watching so far of this season is I've never seen a season where this many people who were voted out are genuinely seem just shocked that they were voted out.
Oh, like, they deserve it.
Like, it's just one of those.
Their lot in life to win the show, and you should, like, why would you even say their name?
It's just one of those things where they're just like, what? I'm like, I've never seen so many people consistently be like, I just didn't see that coming.
It's that generation's entitlement.
Okay. It blew my mind because, like, the first one you're like, okay, maybe she did get blindsided. Yeah. And then the next one,
I was okay with the oh my God, what was her name? Not Tasha. What, she was on the Tuku tribe. Tiana.
Yeah, Tiana.
That
was pretty recent. That was like 2 episodes ago. Yeah.
She just started crying.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a twist on top of a twist that went to that.
Yeah.
I'll allow that one.
Okay.
But the entitlement of the other 3, I'm like, go fuck yourself. Like just because you like, I wouldn't have cast half of you.
Fair point. Fair play. But it's but like, I agree, because like I was like, maybe just, I'd love your perspective on it, just because, like, maybe just not playing. I don't know. There's maybe a level to that, but like, it does just seem like there's a lot of players who are genuinely just, every time there's a vote, they're shocked. And like, I've never seen that so consistent, like, over so many.
Oh my God. There's one in particular in the new era. Like, they're just hateable. It's just like your entitlement is just palpable. That I'm just like, I would love to play with that person and let them see what a first boot feels like.
Exactly. I agree. I would love to watch.
That's what they're entitled in my mind to receive.
Right. I would like
the longest Ponderosa stay possible.
I would love to see you just planted into like a new season, like that would be something else. Last little thing about Survivor, and then I want to talk about some dad stuff as well as.
Let me clarify my return on Micronesia.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so 8 days before I went out for Micronesia, I was at the Fox Reality Awards.
Oh yeah,
and Bonaducci threw me over his head. He knocked out my front 4 teeth. Yep. I had that night. I had 7 hours of emergency surgery. They did a root canal in front of me and then placed that tooth back in. The next day, I went back for 8 additional hours of dental surgery. Actually, Rhino from Pearl Islands held my hand. I stopped counting Novocaine shots at 18 because I was just eating through the Novocaine because my anxiety and fear was so high.
Good God.
And my jaw was shattered. So if you actually look closely on Micronesia, my jaw's wired.
I did not notice that.
Yeah. Here you can see. The picture they always use, you can see the braces on there with the wire.
Yeah.
So so that happened 8 days before filming, and so they called me up, because of course I made TMZ and all, and they're just like, FairPlay, can you make it? I'm just like, yeah. I'm just like, because people they're just like, you can't have your medication. I'm just like, and back then, I was partying, I was a big weed guy or whatever, but I was never a pill guy. I knew so many guys. Like I hung with plenty of bad guys in Hollywood, and they're just like, oh my God, I got a deal where I can get Xanax for $4 a pill or so. I don't even know the
right.
I'm making up numbers because I'm just literally have never been a pill guy. And I'm just like, dude, you're fucking famous. Just ask. Like, people give you free shit.
Yeah.
And they're like, I'm like, yeah, people give me pills all the time. I just give them to my other friends. I'm just like, I don't want this,
Right, exactly.
But I'm not gonna, but I want to be cool.
Right.
There's
a balance there. There's a balance.
So, but I was just like, can you, I'm just like, yes. I was like, all I ask is if I have a doctor's note, can I have a mouth guard for challenges? And they said, absolutely, yes. So I had a white one and a neon pink one for challenges.
Two good colors.
Yes. So when they start Micronesia, Jeff's like, the game has begun. There's a hidden immunity idol right now.
Right.
And so I find it first. I'm going towards it. Yowman sees I'm going for it. And for the record, my plan, I was going to throw it in the fucking ocean. I hate fucking idols. Can't stand them. So that was why so I'm going for it. Yowman comes behind me, shoves my head into the side of the boat to grab the idol. So immediately I go to production. I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm fucked. And they're like, are you sure? They're like, I'm just like, I have this is the most amount of pain I've ever been in my entire life. They're like, well, we can't give you anything. And I'm like, okay. And so the next day I see James, the gravedigger, and he's eating a Nicorette pill. And I'm like, what's that? He goes, oh, I couldn't stop smoking in time. So they gave me, and I'm just like, so let me get this straight. We got a Greek god that gets a Nicorette pill. I am literally fucking dying from my head being shoved inside. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, what are you going to say? Bonaducci knocked your teeth out? I'm like, no, I'm not going to put him over on the show. I'm like, I'm going to say I'm quitting for love because my girlfriend was pregnant at the time. Right. And they're like, well, who's going to believe that? I'm like, the same motherfuckers that believe the dead grandma alive.
Exactly.
And to this day, you believe that.
I was about to say, like I just said. And I think it's one of those things where, like, you could look at that aspect of what you did. You did a good thing, and what, not pulling him over the coals because you could have. But at the same time, like, I think, did you say it? Maybe I missed it. Why couldn't you have the pills? Like, just because, like, it's a narcotic and, like, they couldn't give it to you. Okay.
Yeah, but here's the crazy thing. So the main producer that literally started on day 4 because he was finishing up another project. So it was a young producer that told me that.
Mm-hmm.
So I get voted out. I get asked to be voted out. I'm voted out. It's not a quit. And so day 4, the producer from Pro Islands, one of the main, he comes there, he's like, FairPlay, what the fuck happened? And I told him, he's like, why wouldn't they give you a fucking aspirin? And I'm like, I literally said the same thing.
Right. I just
like, you could have had an aspirin.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's wild. Also, I would have been so pissed because it's like, if you just give me something, like, and I even, like, I'm not, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's
yeah, no, I like, once again, I didn't want a Percocet or a Xanax or any.
No, right. I'm not right.
After the surgery, I was given those, and like, I'm just like, ibuprofen is more than okay.
Right.
So as I said, like, I don't want a buzz from a pill. It's just like, I like to control me. Like,
right, exactly.
I'm my own drug
real quick. And exactly. I give myself my own.
So, no, what's called, God, what was it? What's those? I don't even know what they're called. They're the hardcore pills, like
fentanyl? No.
No. Oh my God. Once again, like, my drug knowledge is so. Anyway, it's people like to crush them up and snort them. They're
ketamine?
No, I don't know.
I think way too many.
Anyway, whatever it is, I had to take one time for something. I literally could not walk, violently threw up, and I was just like, and yet another reminder, folks, I do not. I'm just not a.
Yeah.
I have never been and never will be. A pill.
Another twist. Not the pill part, but like the twist on the actual what happened. Last thing, also, because I'd love to get into what you're doing now. Like, you keep mentioning the podcast, also like your life as a dad. But like, one last thing, I guess.
Two wrestlers that I.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate enough when I was in TNA. My first night in TNA. So my contract is I have creative control, so I can say no to whatever.
That's awesome.
I don't take a bump for 6 months. I take one bump a year, and so you build up the heat, whatever. So anyway, so I get there, and Jeff Jarrett's like, a FairPlay, man. You ain't gonna believe it. Access Hollywood's here, Inside Edition's here, Entertainment Tonight. You gotta take a bump, man. And he's just like, we ain't know they're all gonna be here for this. And I was just like,
impersonation.
And I'm just like, well, what are you thinking? And they're just like, I don't know, maybe power bomb from AJ Styles looked pretty good, and, you know. So I'm just like, geez. So, well, the day before I showed up for my first day on the job at TNA, my salary leaked out. So everyone there fucking hated my guts. I mean, because like I don't think anyone there was making more than probably like $40,000, and I'm getting 300 grand.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That would piss a lot of people off.
Yeah, so they were very pissed, and you know, and a lot of them had no clue that I did have independent experience. A couple did, but they won't vouching for me.
Right.
So anyway, so I call my manager and I'm just like, yeah, so my contract leaked out and everybody hates me. She's like, that's fine. I was like, well, for you.
Right, exactly.
I was like, they want me to take a power bomb. She's like, I don't know what that is, but the answer is no. And I was just like, look, I think it's gonna be a long 2 years if I don't do this. So we do the rehearsal that afternoon, and so the gimmick is AJ has Don Callis in the corner, and I come up with a chair from behind and nail AJ, and then he throws down Don Callis, comes up to me, kicks me in the stomach. I drop the chair, picks me up, power bomb, boom. You know, that's it. And so we're practicing, and I grab the chair, and I grab the chair the wrong way, and Don Callis is like, this fucking guy doesn't even know how to hold the chair.
Damn.
And Jeff Jarrett's there for the rehearsal, and I look over at Don Callis. I'm like, this motherfucker is not supposed to know how to hold a chair. I'm a fucking outsider, remember?
Yeah, right, exactly. How would I know what to do? I'd probably find myself. How is
and Jeff, like, kid's got a point. Right. I know how to fucking grab a chair in fucking wrestling, but I didn't want to grab it like a fucking wrestler does.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a fucking outsider.
Exactly, and I think that's like I think you were bringing a lot of creativity to the scene, and they're bringing a lot into it, and I think he probably saw that. So that's good on you. So wait, who picked? You still? I don't know. Did you give me an answer? Who are the two that you would pick?
Well, hold on. So we'll get this. So anyway, so AJ kicks me in the stomach. Boom, gets me up. I'm selling like crazy. Sure. Boom, power bomb, stiffs me on purpose. He'll admit it. Got a concussion. I get to the back. Terry Funk's back there and cuts a promo. And it's just like, this little kid right here sold harder than any one of you did all goddamn night. And I'm just like, Terry, you're not helping. They already hate me.
Right.
So, but the next week I came in there. Brian Urlacher threw me over the top rope to the floor. One of the best non-sports moment of the year with Brian Urlacher at the Chicago Bears. So next week, Simon Diamond stomps my hand. The next week's AJ Styles gives me the Styles Clash. I manage Abyss and Lex Luger as tag team champions for some reason. So anyway, so I do all this, and then Jeff Jarrett calls the owner, Dixie Carter, is like, I can't do nothing with him. Let's just pay him to stay at home.
What?
And I'm just like, well, you can't beat me up anymore. I mean, like, I'm literally like, I've won a year. You know, I've taken like 8 fucking moves, you know, whatever. Right. But it's fine. So they pay me to stay at home. Fine. Jeff Jarrett's out of power. Dusty Rhodes gets the book. And he goes, who's this Jonny FairPlay, and why does he make more money than everybody else? So because we had our names and our salaries. And they're like, oh, that's the kid from Survivor. Jeff Jarrett didn't like him. He's like, he's more famous than AJ Styles. I'll take him.
That's awesome.
So Dusty brings me in, and he comes there. He's like, Jonny FairPlay, here's what we're going to do. And he goes, you're going to be in my office. I'm going to come in, and you're going to say something, and I'll say something, and you say something. We just going to do little movies. It's going to be fun, Daddy. And I was just like, fuck yes. So I got to work with Dusty, and that was one of the cool. I love Dusty. You know, even though I like the bad guys, I love when them bad guys beat the shit Dusty Rhodes.
He's probably.
And then fast forward my next year. So then Dusty was out of power, and Jeff's like, hey, you know where you're going, back home. I'm like, I know. They did this. They had signed a deal with Fox Sports, and they had done like the best damn week ever or whatever. Mm-hmm. And they did the wrestling best damn week ever with a cross promotion deal. And so they did a deal with Roddy Piper, did a Piper's Pit, and me and Chris Rose were his guests. And he did the fire extinguisher thing like he did with Morton Downey Jr. So
nice.
So yeah. So as far as who I'd like, you know, like I kind of got my dream with Dusty and Piper. But you know, I mean, I guess, you know, Hulk and
That's a good one.
Hulk and Flair. I mean, you know,
That would be two. Yeah, those are two good picks.
Yeah, but I'm content. I'm content. I mean, I'm beyond content with life. So,
Right.
I mean, like I have Survivor winners that come to my house and they walk, you know, like this.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not hanging out at an arcade. I'm at my house. This is my podcast studio, and they're like, dude, you won Survivor, and I'm like, fuck yeah, I won Survivor.
Right, exactly. Look at life, grand scheme of things too, and so
glass half full.
Yeah, right, exactly. Right, better look at it. So kind of like let's pivot. So that's Johnny over there. Tell me a little about my daughter, my first daughter. She is just turned a year and a half, so like just started being a dad. Tell me about your family, what it's like being a dad, and you know, also just outside, like, you know, tell me a little about what you do, you know, now, and you know, what do you day to day? What does it look like? What does a week in your life look like right now?
Sure. I mean, I have a 16-year-old and a 7-year-old, and my 16-year-old, she's fully aware of Jonny FairPlay, the character,
Gotcha.
And to some degree, like we went to GalaxyCon this past year, and she was like, you know, we get there. And she was like, you know, I want to see this person, whatever. And I'm just like, all right. I was like, well, I know the president of GalaxyCon.
Yeah.
I was like, whatever you want, just let me know. And
right.
No, I don't want to hang out with you. And I'm like, all right, well, you know, like a lot of these ops are like $200 a pop.
Sure.
I was like, I get these for free.
Right.
So, and you know, and there's the long, and it's just like, whatever, you know, I just want to, and I'm just like, I was like, well, what do you really care about? She's like, I want to meet the Flash, you know, Grant Gustin.
Okay.
I was like, not a problem. I was like, and so I told he was like, be here at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
So like, okay. So, or no, at like 5 till 1, or 10 till whatever. So anyway, so we're there. And so she gets there, she's got her friend with her, and you know, and she was just like, you've ruined it, Dad. And I'm just like, what did I ruin? Right. Like we're like, I think we're a minute early. Like, you know, what's she's like, the line is all the way down. It's a 2-hour line. They've already said no one else. They're sold out of ops. We can't, you know, and I was just like, we're not waiting in that. Like, what do you like? Everything's fine. So anyway, so we president comes up and he's just like, how many you got? And I had Jesse from Survivor and his kids. And so it was like 8. I'm like, I think it's like 8 of us. He's like, come on. So we go back to the thing where they do the ops, and the president, he goes, I need to borrow your dad for 1 second. He's like, just give me, you know, and they're like, oh, what's that? And he's just like, it's fine. Just so it takes me over to the op thing, right? And he's just like, you want to meet Billy D. Williams? And I was just like, fuck yeah.
That's awesome.
And so just have a private, just want to, you know, me and Lando Calrissian, fucking Colt 45. It's fucking great. So, you know, so we do it, you know, and so I go back, and he was like, he's like, hey, Grant, can you go? And he was like, Grant, he goes, this is Jonny FairPlay's family and his friend. And he goes, Jonny FairPlay, big fan. Oh my God. Who's your people?
Yeah.
And my kids, it's like,
who are you?
The Flash knows who you
are.
Right,
know who you are. Oh,
and I'm just like, yeah, I'm, you know, I'm Jonny FairPlay, you know.
The power dynamic was like, they all of a sudden turned, it shifted in their head. They're like, who's my dad? Like, it shifted in their head.
and so from there, you know, she's like, you know, I want to, you know, so like what you call it, Blues Clues is like, oh my God, Jonny FairPlay, and then of course you know, I got Ric Flair and Mick Foley. They're like, FairPlay, you know.
That's awesome.
And you know, and she's like, well, they're wrestlers. They don't count. They're not famous. And I'm just like, oh my God, you just said Ric Flair's not famous.
I was just about to say Ric Flair has a song written about him by Migos. Like, Ric Flair's like a cultural kind of like, people know who Ric
Flair. Same with Jonny FairPlay.
Right, exactly, right. Like, I get it, and like that's the thing too. Who like I was brought into Survivor like by my wife. Like she watched it growing up. I hadn't really watched it growing up. Got into it in college, started from the beginning. If anyone who's going to get into it needs to start at the beginning, because you'll see just the progression of the show. But like, that's, oh man. So like, it sounds like they made that connection. They're like, oh shit, my dad's, you know, I got to find out who Jonny FairPlay is.
Well, but here's the biggest pop. So, so we're doing all the, so there's the chick, or sorry, the woman, I don't say chicken in derogatory.
Right.
I'm a 50-year-old guy. Relax, folks. It's okay. There's the lovely young lady that does the voice of Zelda on the video games.
Yeah.
The new Nintendo Switch games. So anyway, there's a line for her, and it's not a long line, but it's still a line. But it's a 20-minute line.
Sure.
Anyway, so she's like, Dad, I want to do this.
Right.
And she was like, we're not skipping line. And I was like,
okay,
fine. Hey, we can just sit here and talk. And she's like, oh my God.
Right.
I was like,
the other option. Right.
So anyway, we're in line for about 5 minutes, and the manager of the talent manager for the Zelda lady, because there's like, he goes, Jonny FairPlay's in your line, and she was like, oh my God, Jonny FairPlay, get up here. And she was just like, my dad? She's like, your dad is incredible. And I'm just like, holy shit, am I cool today?
Right, exactly. This is the biggest moment for Dad. Like, Dad's getting all the points right now.
So, she drew a whole thing because my 16-year-old has the Zelda special collector's edition, Switch, and the special case and all that. She drew a whole thing and then did the secret thing. Oh yeah,
that wasn't that. She probably loved that. Oh, I mean, you walked out of there on top that day. You're like,
I mean, it lasted one day. Like the next day, it's like, oh my God, Dad, you're the worst. So, but my 7-year-old on the other hand, my dad's famous, and I'm pretty sure he's rich. I'm like, hey, Faye, brother.
You're right.
Don't tell your mom.
Right, exactly. Right. Keep it on the down low. Keep it on the down low. Dad's doing okay, but just keep it on the down low. Keep it to yourself. I love it.
These all, can you get me free stuff here?
It's like easy, but maybe.
Yeah, probably. But nothing major, but
we'll see what we can do.
Maybe, just relax, kid.
So I love that. And so now, you're doing moving into what you do in a day to day.
Day to day, I have a podcast where, it was I started a podcast network, or I started a podcast 5 years ago. Myself and Conrad Thompson, who you may know from Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard, and What Happened When with Tony Schiavone, and he started a podcast empire. We've been friends for a while, and 5 years ago it's just like, hey, do you want to do a Survivor podcast? I was like, sure.
Yeah.
And so we did a podcast together for season 37. Okay. It was the Hustlers, Heroes, Healers season.
Okay, gotcha.
Check your mic. That season. And Ben, who served our nation's military, which he may have mentioned in a confessional or tip. So we did that season. And after the season, Conrad was just like, all right, I've got this all set up for you. I did not enjoy Survivor. I would never like to watch an episode ever again. If you'd like to continue the podcast, everything's set up. Enjoy. And he gave me Matt Kuhn, who had done a lot of stuff for the network, and did the podcast with. He's done podcasts with Dutch Mantel and FTR and other people. And so myself and Matt Kuhn started doing the podcast, and so it started as Survival's the Fairest. But that name was kind of too cute by half for search engines because you're not finding Survivor or FairPlay. So we changed it to Survivor NSFW. So we were the Survivor podcast where we use bad words.
There you go.
And I got a cease and desist from CBS. Are you kidding me?
Seriously?
Yeah. So then we changed it to Reality NSFW. Oh, so anyway, so it was me and Matt Kuhn, and I was just like, hey, I want to go do live shows like Conrad and Bruce were doing, and Conrad and Eric Bischoff were doing.
Yeah.
And so he's like, oh, I don't want to do that. And I'm like, okay. So he stopped after one season. So I got Matt Bischoff from Survivor Karamoan. He was like, I'll do that.
Sure.
And so he got there. He's like, well, I'll do the podcast, but I don't feel like doing live shows either. So I have been touring I've been doing the podcast for 5 years. I've been touring for 4 years. Go to survivortix.com. That's survivortix.com. And you get tickets. But I've been doing a Survivor podcast, and then with Matt Bischoff, we branched out and we've covered Big Brother and The Amazing Race and some other shows. And as of, I believe, 5 months ago, we are now a broadcast network. We film. We use Riverside. Everything is done in 4K, and so no more 1080p. It does subtract the live streaming component.
Okay.
But being this big, massive company that I've produced, most of the TV shows send me screeners, and so I get to record the broadcast during the afternoon, and then we have them drop as soon as the episode is over, at 9:30 p.m. or 10 p.m. Eastern, whatever according to the show. So now I have for Survivor, myself and Matt Bischoff and stand-up comedian Wayne Mimit, we do a Survivor after show. It's on, Wednesday nights at 9:30 p.m. After the episode. I have a challenge podcast with Paulie Calafiore, who was actually on season 40. They're talking challenge season 40. Wendell Holland, who won Survivor Ghost Island. Wendell and Bryce Isaiah and Joey Hatch do a challenge breakdown podcast. I have Rachel Riley, who won Big Brother. She does my Big Brother podcast. I have Jen Hoffman from The Apprentice. We do a House of Villains podcast. We have a Love Is Blind podcast. Me and my buddy Heath Haynes. We just did a wrestling pod. We do a wrestling podcast every Tuesday. We talk about SmackDown and Raw and the PLE. And then every week we have a Crockett Classic match of the week. And we try to pick something that, like, whether it be the finish or the angle or the storyline that has something to do with something in current wrestling. So so we kind of meld those worlds. And so that so everything is available video wise at youtube.com/aftershow. And then the audio version, just search Reality After Show on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, or wherever you listen. So, but it's been crazy. As I said, like I'm looking at 10 podcasts a week there, and then my viewing parties have just started back this tomorrow night. I don't know when it comes out, but Wednesday, November 13th, I will be in Durham, North Carolina at Clouds Brewcade. Used to be Clouds Brewing. They actually made this beer. Hold on, I got a little show and tell, folks.
Give them a little plug. I love Clouds, by the way. As a person who lives next in Raleigh, I've been to Clouds. I've been to Clouds Brewing. When did it switch to a barcade?
A few months back, but this is they made this last. This is the merge sour. Me, Sandra, and Jesse on the label.
I love it. Oh yeah, man, I gotta
go. I've had I think 6 beers named after me now. Bolero Sport did a Juicy Fairplay IPA and a Hoboken Whisper with me and Mike Turner. And then 3 Notch Brewing did a Johnny Sour Play and then a Johnny Sour Play Pink Lemonade Sour.
Damn.
So now I'm working on another IPA now. So
my brother is the head brewer at Jekyll and Hyde in Charlotte. I gotta hit you guys up. Maybe we can get one for them too.
I would love a villain IPA.
Let's do it.
I want a West Coast because that's where I found House of Villains.
All right, and we got it. West Coast villain IPA. Easy. We can make that happen.
Johnny FairPlay doing the gimmick. So,
I'll have his people touch you and everything. It would be perfect. Awesome, man. All right, so.
But I'm doing parties. I have Durham this week, survivortix.com.
Yep.
And then first week in December, I'm at Over the Edge weekend. It's 130 reality stars and wrestlers. We're all raising money for our individual charities. Awesome. I just ran a half marathon a few weeks back. I've raised over $2,000 for Homeward Trails Animal Rescue.
That's awesome.
In Virginia. Danville, Virginia our animal shelter has a kill rate of 83%. The national average is 13. That is not good. No, that's the higher the number is not better. So I'm doing what I can to help where I grew up. And so I'll be there. It's like myself, Boston Rob, Trishelle from The Real World, Mariah from the Challenge, so many people.
Wow.
We're raising a ton of money for each of our own individual charities. Super excited about that. And starting there, I'm filming a new show, myself and King George from Australian Survivor, and they will be following us on the road from Over the Edge weekend all the way to the Survivor finale at Jax's studio in Los Angeles, California. So we'll be hitting a lot of crazy locations. We're doing
cool.
We're going to be at the Filson in Cincinnati on December 13th. Tickets available at survivortickets.com.
That's awesome.
Tomorrow. I got to wake up early. I got shit to do. Yeah. And then for the finale, I'm doing the official viewing party, the unofficial after party, which means they're all going to be there. I'm not allowed to say it. So the cast of this season will be at Jax's. I'll be with me and Jax Taylor from Vanderpump Rules and House of Villains. We're gonna be hosting the party.
Are y'all tight? You and Jax?
Yeah.
That's sick. Because
I did a House of Villains tour after House of Villains, and I sabotaged him and voted him out. And like that episode was like the first night of our tour, and we're in Boston at the Greatest Bar in Boston. I was just like, because they send us the screeners early, and it was like, hey, Jax, you watch it? He goes, I don't watch myself. I'm like, you should probably check out this episode. He's like, no, I don't watch it. So I literally asked him 10 times. I'm like, you should really check that out. He's like, no, I don't care. I'm just like, it really mean a lot if you. He's like, nah, I'm not gonna watch. So anyway, so we're at the viewing party. He's watching, and my confessionals, I'm just brutal to people.
Right.
Like that's where I get my shit in. And he was just like, this fuck. He literally threw a ketchup bottle at me, missed me, hit this DJ. Like, and after that, he's just like, tour's over, fuck you, call Johnny Bananas, I'm not doing this shit, blah blah blah. And so the next day he goes home. He does the podcast with his wife Brittany from Vanderpump Rules. And she comes and she was just like, he goes, did you see that? She's like, yeah, that's what Jonny FairPlay does. What were you thinking? You're stupid. So he called me up. He was just like, hey, if you want to keep doing the tour, I'm like, fuck yeah, Jax, I love you. Like,
it wasn't
a game. So,
yeah, right, exactly.
For the record, I did everything I could to keep Jackson. So Omarosa and I were talking one night, and she was like, do you think we can use Jax? I'm like, he wants to stay. I'm like, and she goes, well, bring him over. And so Jack sits down with me and Omarosa. It's just like, I don't know if it's intimidating or what, but but like, this is some heavy hitters.
Yeah.
And Jax was like, look, I'm not from you guys' world. I don't understand. He goes, but I'm willing to make an alliance with you guys or whatever you call it. However, when it comes to voting and stuff like that, I'm just going to go all willy-nilly and do whatever I want. But I'm with you.
Okay.
And Omarosa's like, well, that's all I need to hear. And so it feels like, and why did we just talk to him? I'm like, I don't know.
No, right, exactly. So basically, we can't trust your vote.
Yeah,
we can't trust your vote. Damn. Oh man, that's cool.
So, I love Jax. We did a Canadian tour a couple months back, and we went to Toronto and Niagara Falls and all over. And it's funny because like the what we had set up for that Saturday, it was a pool party, beach club thing or whatever, and it was inclement weather, so they pushed everything a day, and everything got pushed one day. And so we went, so Jack's like, you want to go to the Blue Jays game? I'm like, sure. So he's like, let me call my publicist. So he calls his publicist. We have the Ticketmaster suite. It's literally just us. The menu is like filet mignon. Everything's free. They bring us 2 of the City Connect jerseys with their fucking names on it. They're like, hey, head down to the gift shop, pick up a City Connect cap and sweatshirt too. Like literally, like it was like $10,000. Like, here's $10,000. And then he's just like, hey, he's like, you want to hit a bar after this? I'm like, sure. There's a limousine waiting for us, bottle of Casamigos every place we go. The best fucking, it's fucking insanity.
Yeah.
Because I'm popular, but Jax is popular.
Vanderpump reaches out, and I never watched it until my wife was like, hey, I'm watching it. I was like, well, what you classically, like, I don't want to watch it. And then you start watching it and you get attached.
Yeah.
And so like, it's one of those, like, you learn who Jax is. So like, when you said that, I was like, get the fuck out. My wife's going to love that
December 18th, come to the Survivor finale party with me and Jax.
That's awesome.
SurvivorTix.com. That's SurvivorTix.com.
There it is. I love it. So last 2 things I really want to ask you. And this is the last one. I've asked this question to everyone that I've had on, anything in between, like, an architect to a basketball coach to former football player, like everyone I've asked this question. I got it from my buddy from college, but I'm still revisiting. I think it's built off
Seven
of
and a half.
what?
7.5.
That's just your answer. Do you know what I'm going to ask?
Oh no, I thought you were at.
No. So
I was like, wow, that's really weird.
No. So I think you
Most
got it
girls
from.
start with that.
Yeah, right, exactly. So in a scenario similar to the movie Step Brothers, you kind of at a playground, right, or you're walking home from somewhere. They're all coming at you. It's kind of a situation where you have to be all around, head on a swivel. How many fifth graders do you think you could fight?
Ooh, wow.
And take down before they overpower you, before they come?
No cell phones.
What do you mean? They're on cell phones, or you have a cell phone?
No one has a cell phone. I mean, because like that's TMZ, like that's career suicide.
Oh no, yeah. No. You're not like, this isn't like there's no implications here. You're walking down the road. They're at recess. They don't have phones. You don't have your phone. You're just kind of walking. No, there's no implications here. Nothing.
Yeah. So, all right, fifth grade. How old are fifth graders?
Like 10, right? It's got to be like 10, 11, maybe right around there. And you think about like present day fifth graders, like getting recruited by Saban kind of kids. You know what I mean?
I know. Yeah,
they're big now.
They're bigger now.
It's different.
God, like 2 at most. Like back in my day.
That's a respectful answer. That's very respectful.
Yeah, 2 at most. Back in my day, oh shit. I mean, because I fight dirty.
You can do anything you want to them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm dirt in the eyes, finger pokes, fish hooks.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Nuts, whatever.
Yeah.
Is that your mom? They're like, boom.
No, in this scenario, it's to take over because they're gonna keep coming in swarms.
Yeah.
So,
no,
anything can go. Anything.
Yeah.
Can go.
So back in my day, like because the size was much smaller then. So my day, but I'm me now.
Yeah. I like that take. I like that twist.
I don't know. Good 11, no problem.
That's still a respectful answer too. I appreciate your answers. I've had people give me like crazy answers, like 25, like 30. So. I know.
They're still coming. They don't stop.
And I've asked like NHL hockey players, like who play defense, and they've said like maybe 7. And I was like, that's my gauge for like where.
Well, I'm in 11 with. Is that your mom?
Yeah. Whatever you got to do.
I mean, like a hockey player is probably gonna like just on principle fight legit.
Sure, right.
I mean, like they're gonna be like like stiff stuff.
Exactly.
But it's gonna be like like they're not gonna fucking fish hook and finger.
No. They got some form there. They have some technique.
Yeah. No, I'm dirty. Like I'm going for just pure numbers and I like it. And I don't think 11's really bragging rights.
No, I mean, like it's respectful also because like you got it, like we said, fifth graders, even back then, they're just coming at you and like they hit, especially like they hit a spot, 1 weak spot. Now, especially it could be a little bit more debilitating than if it was, like you said, like 5-10 years ago. So
but now, they're just bigger. Yeah, 2 at most.
Oh yeah, dude, it's
I'm frightened thinking about it.
It is, I appreciate that answer. Very respectful answer. Last thing too, I think you kind of touched on it, what you're doing with your local, shelter. But is there anything that you like, maybe a charity or something like that, or anything at all that like you like bringing up? Like for instance, like I always carry this bracelet for me because it's my thing with CJD. Everyone go, see if you can. It definitely needs more research, but for you, what's something either you want to share with people or like people didn't know, something like that?
Just check out my podcast, youtube.com/aftershow. You can become a patron and support the entire reality after show community. It's realitypatron.com, realitypatron.com. We have links to Australian Survivor. So for all you people that love American Survivor, Australian Survivor has been better up until this season's been great. So, but over the course of the last 4 years, Australian Survivor has whooped our butt. Like it's so much. It's King George. He's on my fucking shirt. He's that great.
I definitely. I was about to say it's enticing for sure because I would love to just see the differences, but also see the nature of the game. You've enticed me for sure. Jonny, it's like you said when you messaged me when we were doing this, you've been nothing but just entertaining, but also really appreciate you taking us through the journey of Jonny FairPlay, man.
Oh, sure.
It's you did not disappoint. You've been a
Ah.
great guest, and I appreciate you coming on. And like anyone who's just listened for the past hour knows that you're a very busy man. You got a lot going on. You ask your daughters, they'll say he's a very famous man. So it's one of those where like I appreciate your time, brother. It's been awesome.
Yeah, no, my fiance yells at me all the time. She's just like, you're allowed to say no, and I never say no.
I personally, as someone who's trying to grow with this and do with it, I appreciate that. So thank you. But with that, man, we'll head out into the outro. Dude, you've been great. I really appreciate your time, and I wish we had 18 more hours because there's so much we could dive into, but for another day for sure.
Well, tell everybody, hey, JonnyFairPlay.com, no H in Johnny. There's links to everything. Totally
exactly.
forgot. I'm on the leaderboard for Survivor Cameo.
You are actually. That's actually how I got in touch with Johnny, but it's very true. He is number one.
I have 8 in my queue right now.
There you go. He's lined up. He's always busy, but man,
that's what I'm doing tonight.
Oh well,
yeah.
I'm gonna get early tomorrow.
Penguin. That's all I want to do is watch Penguin. But no, I got to do cameos to go to sleep.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate it, brother.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Peace out, Jonny FairPlay, everybody. One more time. Awesome.